Coverage you can count on. Fox 30 Action News at 4:30 begins with First Alert weather.
Rain is on the way. Take a look at First Alert Doppler HD. That system is moving our way, and it will impact us for the morning commute. When and where it will hit, straight ahead. Plus, blood moon in the sky. We explain why the moon is orange right now and the reason it is so rare. Also, Boston strong, moving on from tragedy.
And then the second blast hit probably 40, 50 yards in front of me. And at that moment, I knew that something was horribly wrong.
The memories and memorials taking place today on the one-year anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombings. Well, good Tuesday morning to you. I'm Lindsay Gardner right here in the Severe Weather Center with Fox 30 meteorologist Ariel Nixon. It's a First Alert Weather Day on this April 15th. It's also the dreaded tax day. So a double whammy for you here this morning. We'll check in on your headlines in a moment. But first, let's get a look at that rain headed our way with Ariel.
Yeah, we're going to see a cold front move in. It's a strong one. We've been tracking it really since this weekend as it caused severe weather in parts of the Midwest. And it's finally going to make its way towards us today. Now, as far as severe weather goes, we're not terribly concerned about tornadoes or hail, but our main concern will be gusty winds as it moves in. Your temperatures right now really warm. We're at 68 in Mayport, 65 in Jacksonville. And here is your 5-sweep First Alert Doppler HD. Now, all of this green here through Duval County, this is a false radar signal. With these early morning temperatures, we get a temperature inversion. So right now, not raining in Duval County. If you can get out the door early today and head to work, you're going to save yourself a headache because that rain is going to move in for the later part of the morning commute. And if you can get out, get to work before that moves in, you are going to be thanking me later. We have one little shower popping up here in Waycross. Just looking at some light rain for now, and it's just starting to develop and really just some sprinkles at this time. But as we take a look at the bigger picture, you can see where there's heavy rain, lightning, and also some gusty winds with this system. And it will be making its way towards us closer again to the later part of the morning commute, closer to 9 o'clock. So coming up in your First Alert forecast, I will be tracking this front. Everyone is going to see rain by the time all is said and done. And then we're going to see a big time cool down for Wednesday. I even have more rain for later this week. I'll show you that coming up in your First Alert forecast.
Like it or not, it's here. All right, Ariel, thank you. We are outside for First Alert traffic. We're at I-295, just north of US 17, where it's getting a green light here this morning. Of course, a reminder to drive safely as the rain is headed our way. Derek Odom back at 5 a.m. to track it live. Well, today marks the first anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombings, and remembrance ceremonies are planned across the nation. 3 people died and hundreds more were injured in those 2 blasts last April. Action News correspondent Jerica Duncan is in Boston with more on the events planned today.
Crowds cheered under a sunny sky as runners streamed across the finish line of last year's Boston Marathon. Then everything changed in an instant. 12 seconds later, a second explosion rocked Boylston Street. The celebration turned to chaos. 3 people were killed, more than 200 injured. Brothers Paul and J.P. Norton each lost a leg.
When I saw him, as weird as it sounds, like I saw him from the side. I knew his leg was off, but he looked fine otherwise. Like I couldn't see that he had burns up here or on his back or anything.
1 year later, investigators still have more questions than answers as to why the suspects, brothers 26-year-old Tamerlan and 20-year-old Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, allegedly set the bombs that changed the race's course through history. The older brother died in a shootout with police. The younger brother has pleaded not guilty to a 30-count federal indictment that carries a possible death sentence. Dzhokhar's lawyers appear to be building a defense that points to Tamerlan as the driving force, using his influence on his younger brother.
Let's go, Boston!
But the people of Boston are ready to move forward. On Saturday, they mobbed the finish line during a photo shoot for the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Powerful day?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. It means a lot for all the people supporting us, and it's a good day.
A day to remind the world Boston is strong and looking only ahead to this year's race.
That was Jerica Duncan reporting. President Obama will hold a moment of silence at the White House, marking the exact time the 2 bombs exploded. Action News also talked to the man who snapped the photo that helped police capture their suspect, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. That is coming up all new on Action News this morning at 5. It's 4:33 and a Jacksonville mother accused of kidnapping her own child is headed back to court today. Police say Charity Chapman took 6-year-old Onika Fisher during a supervised visit last December. An Amber Alert was issued and the pair was stopped 3 days later, some 200 miles away in Perry, Georgia. Chapman was eventually extradited back here to Jacksonville and charged with custodial interference. She has pleaded not guilty. This morning, a local couple charged with horrible sex crimes against children will be back in court. William Dillow and his girlfriend Rhonda Wilkerson are accused of sexually abusing 2 girls ages 9 and 11. Police say the couple abused the girls for months in an RV outside of Dillow's St. Augustine home. Police were alerted when the girls told school officials what happened. New this morning, Alachua County deputies need your help finding a man they believe is in danger. Take a look at William Davison. He was last seen at his Melrose home Sunday night. He stands 6'2", weighs 215 pounds, has gray blue eyes and a long beard, as you can see in this photo. Well, Davison needs medication for his Parkinson's disease and schizophrenia. Police say he is likely out walking. Also in Melrose, a local family business is no more, and the state fire marshal is investigating what they are calling a suspicious fire. We brought that to you here as breaking news all morning long on Monday. We have new video you will see only here on Action News of that convenience store exploding in flames. The Nick's Quick Stop in Melrose caught fire around 4 a.m. on Monday. The store's landlord thinks it started with a robbery.
They cut the locks and pulled back the garage door. Probably had to break glass to get into the store.
Incredibly, no one was hurt in the fire. A St. Augustine couple is dead after a fatal crash on I-295 near Bay Meadows Road. It's an update to a story we first brought you here Sunday night. Troopers say 48-year-old Damian Grant called his parents for help after running out of gas Sunday. When they got there, he got into their van. Their van was then hit by a 17-year-old driver. The crash killed Grant's mother and father, the parents he called to the scene. The 17-year-old driver was also taken to the hospital. She is facing charges. The son also taken to the hospital in serious condition. We are working to get an update on how he's doing this morning. The Central Florida woman recovering from a bear attack this weekend is now arming herself against another attack. Florida wildlife commissioners say it shot a dozen bears in the wake of that bear attack. And local homeowners are now concerned for their families. Action News' Amanda Warford talked with one father in Nocatee where a bear alert is in effect.
Reports of a Central Florida woman who was mauled by a bear over the weekend are all too familiar to homeowners in Willow Cove at Nocatee. They recently received a notice that a bear was roaming their neighborhood as well. Florida wildlife officials continue to search for a black bear that attacked a Central Florida woman right outside her home.
She opened her jaw and clamped down onto my head.
Now out of the hospital, Terry Frana described the terrifying attack Monday as officials stood guard in her gated neighborhood looking for the bear responsible.
And I could just hear her teeth marks going through my scalp.
It's a story that hits home for Chris Valdivia, a father who lives in Nocatee's Willow Cove, where neighbors believe a bear fed on this palm tree recently.
There's a lot of preserve here, a lot of nature, so, you know, the potential for something like that being there is pretty high.
Right now, there are an estimated 3,000 black bears roaming the state, so many that officials removed them from the endangered list. That number continues to rise, and the FWC says the bears are also becoming more aggressive. On Monday, as officials searched for the bear that attacked Frana, they were forced to euthanize others.
They displayed abnormal behavior and approached the area and did not leave when they seen us and did not leave when we tried to scare them off.
But this father hopes officials can find a way to protect the growing number of bears and his family.
Once it starts happening, I guess we're going to really have to think about it.
Florida wildlife officials have divided the state into 7 regions, including Northeast Florida, and they're now asking the public for ideas on how to regulate the bears in each of those regions. They're putting together that plan over the next couple of months. As far as the bear in Nocatee goes, officials believe it has moved on. Reporting from St. Johns County, Amanda Warford, Fox 30 and CBS 47 Action News.
Wildlife officials say they will not kill bears so long as they do not make any contact with humans or show signs of being aggressive. Coming up on Action News this morning at 5, hear what a local mother has to say about a bear that keeps coming to her Nocatee home. That is all new this morning. It is 4:38 and the U.S. Supreme Court will decide if they will weigh in on Governor Rick Scott's plan to drug test state workers in Florida. The move comes more than 3 years after the governor issued that executive order on drug testing. It's a move a lower court ruled unconstitutional. Governor Scott then filed the appeal. The Supreme Court is expected to convene Friday to discuss that appeal further. The man accused of causing a deadly daycare crash will likely stay in an Orange County jail cell despite a $100,000 bond in that case. If 28-year-old Robert Corchado pays that bond, he will then be moved to Seminole County Jail because his bond for a previous hit and run there was revoked. Corchado turned himself into police last week, a full day after police say he caused a chain reaction crash that killed a 4-year-old girl inside her daycare center and injured more than a dozen other children. Jacksonville police are looking for the gunman who opened fire in a North Side neighborhood, killing one person. The drive-by shooting happened just after noon on Monday near the intersection of East 28th and Buckman Streets. A second person was also hit and taken to the hospital. That person is expected to survive. We have a heads up for homeowners this morning. You might be overlooking some big savings on your homeowner's insurance. Make sure you are getting credit if you have wind mitigation straps. Now, they were mandatory in Florida following one too many hurricanes. The straps tie your roof to your walls and sometimes your walls to your foundation. Insurance agent John Crowell says they are in all homes built in Florida after 2002 or in older homes where roofs have been replaced. Well, today is the dreaded deadline to file your tax returns. If you have procrastinated, there is some free help available here in Jacksonville. Senator Marco Rubio's office is partnering with RealSense to help workers who qualify. This is happening at the Wells Fargo on North Main Street from 7 until 6 o'clock tonight. But good news for those of you who do not owe the government any money. There are no penalties for filing late if you are due a refund. Again, if you don't owe but rather need a refund. Right now, budget cuts are making it difficult for the IRS to police tax returns, so they are more concerned about collecting those payments rather than issuing refunds.
Now, your first alert forecast, Jacksonville's most accurate.
Today is the first alert weather day, and that's because of this rain that's off towards our north and west, starting to see a little bit of light rain